You have to start drinking Alani. I poured it and I was like, this is an us drink. It's giving me Baja Blast.
I don't like Baja Blast.
What?
I don't like Baja Blast. I'm not into it. I'm a Code Red girl.
What? Wait, have we talked about this?
I don't know. I'm not. You
have never told me that before.
Well, I think it's because I know how much it means to you, and so I've just been like, I'm not gonna rob that from her. So I'm just gonna when you're like, oh yeah,
well, it doesn't
you're gonna
matter
go to Taco Bell, you're gonna get a Baja Blast, you're gonna get a Baja Blast.
I definitely did.
Yeah,
Wait,
yeah.
I definitely did say that to you when I told you to get when we were talking about the nuggets, and you
I fully
omitted.
did not. I fully did not get a Baja Blast. I never get a Baja Blast. No.
What don't you like about it?
Everything.
What?
Everything. I hate everything.
What?
It's.
Are you joking?
I'm not joking.
But you like soda. Don't even. You like
tropical.
soda.
It's too tropical and like. Ugh.
But on the whole, I've been a saint to those poor unfortunate souls.
Hello, and welcome to Poor Unfortunate Podcast, where Disney is what we do. It's what we live for. We're the two besties you never knew you needed. I'm Caroline Ameti.
And I'm Connor Perkins. This is a Disney podcast for grown-ups because we believe magic gets better with age. Listener discretion is advised. Welcome to all of our returning listeners and viewers. Thank you so much for joining us once again. And welcome to any new listeners or viewers. Thank you so much for hitting play. Please also remember to hit follow or subscribe wherever you're getting the podcast and opt in for notifications if you're on YouTube. And then at the end of the episode, or right now if you're feeling it, leave a comment, hit 5 stars, leave a written review wherever you're getting the podcast. It's one of the best things you can do to help us get seen in search results. It helps us get exposed to other people in the good way. And we would just really, really appreciate it. So thank you so much for doing that.
Yeah, it's been a little while since we've had a new one on Apple Podcasts, and I always check. So go ahead and make my day and just leave one.
Or make my day, because I think when this is coming out, this is actually...
That's what I was just about to say.
I think it's the day before my birthday.
Yes, it is. So sometimes we do a little bonus episode or something else related to Connor's birthday, and we're not really doing that this year. So happy birthday, Connor. And maybe if it ends up feeling a little bit close with this showdown and you're feeling one thing and I'm feeling the other, maybe I'll let you win.
How kind of you.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it.
But happy birthday. We love you. Everybody go wish Connor a happy birthday. And yeah, leave him a little gift and leave us a review. Please. Please.
And speaking of gifts, if you want to support the podcast and get a little bit more in the process, you can become a member of our Poor Unfortunate Patreon. Go to patreon.com/Poor Unfortunate Podcast to sign up. That's patreon.com/Poor Unfortunate Podcast. All of our plans are under $10, and all of that money just goes right back into the podcast and helping to support it and keep it up and running. So thank you so much for thinking about that, and thank you to all of our subscribers. We appreciate you.
Yes, and honestly, on that note, I will reveal that our Patreon members chose the topic of today's showdown. So if you're a member, you get a little bit of control over this. And I hope that idea excites you.
I know, we love control. I mean, I do.
We both do, and that's why we're friends.
All right, so we are back to our showdown episode in this cycle. Caroline, why don't you tell everybody what we're doing?
Yes, so as voted upon by our Patreon members, we offered them the option of a showdown between two fictional Disney locales, and we settled upon two Pixar locales. First of all, the Pixar of it all, with Toy Story 5 about to come out. We're in a very Pixar mood. But also, both of these locales have a little something in common, which is that they are obviously two Pixar film locales, but they also currently or will be present in the Disney parks, be represented in the Disney parks, be a place
Yeah.
that you can visit. So without further ado, today our showdown is between the city of Monstropolis from Monsters, Inc. and the cutest little town in Carburetor County, Radiator Springs from Cars.
All right, so I'm going to say it right now. Spoilers are ahead. So if you have not seen Monsters Incorporated or you have not seen Cars, both of them are available for you to watch on Disney Plus. Also, I would just highly recommend like going back and revisiting them because it's been a while for me.
This was such a great
and it was
rewatch
nice.
for me too, and I loved every second of it. It was delightful.
I did too. It
Yeah.
was really, really nice.
Yeah.
So we'll take a moment right now to let you all do that, and then you can come on back when you're ready. And welcome back. All right, so Caroline and I both have some background information for you because that's how we do things. Caroline, you did Monsters, Inc., right?
I did. Yeah.
All right, why don't we start with that because that came out first.
Yep, absolutely. I remember it well. So, Monsters, Inc. premiered in the US on November 2nd, 2001. I distinctly remember being in the movie theater seeing this, partially because, quick story here, right as the film was ending and Mike Wazowski is doing his little stand-up routine to the kid, there was a fire at the movie theater and we all had to be evacuated, and I never saw the end of the movie until it came out on like VHS or DVD or whatever it was.
They didn't give you a ticket to come back?
No, it was a whole mess. It was a
Assholes.
whole mess.
Rude.
Yeah, wild. So anyway, producer of this film is Darla K. Anderson, and it is directed by Pete Docter. Screenplay is by Andrew Stanton and Daniel Gerson, and story is by Pete Docter, Jill Colton, Jeff Pigeon, and Ralph Eggleston. And the music is by the one and only Randy Newman. And I also wanted to call out for this specific episode the production designer, so that's Harley Jessup and Bob Pauley. The film stars, among others, John Goodman as Sully, Billy Crystal as Mike, Steve Buscemi as Randall, Mary Gibbs as Boo, James Coburn as Waternoose, Jennifer Tilly as Celia, Bob Peterson as Roz. Incredible. The budget for this film was $115 million, and the box office was $579.7 million.
Jeez.
Monsters, Inc. set the record for having the biggest opening weekend of an animated film at that time, making $62.6 million in that opening weekend and surpassing the previous record held by Toy Story 2. This achievement would last for 2 years until the release of Finding Nemo in 2003. It has an 8.1 on IMDb and is certified fresh on Rotten Tomatoes with a 96% tomato meter score and a 90% popcorn meter score.
That's really freaking impressive.
It's
that doesn't
excellent.
really happen on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, because usually when we're reading these, we're like, oh, and it didn't deserve that, but it's like this scored well.
No, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Monsters, Inc. won the Academy Award for Best Original Song for If I Didn't Have You by Randy Newman after 15 previous nominations for him. So claps for that. And it was one of the first animated films to be nominated for Best Animated Feature. As we referenced in our previous episode, it lost to Shrek.
Yeah.
The Shrek of it all is back.
The Shrek of it all.
The Shrek of it all. It was also nominated for Best Original Score and Best Sound Editing. Quick summary pulled from Disney Plus. Lovable Sully and his wisecracking sidekick Mike Wazowski are the top scare team at Monsters, Inc., the scream processing factory in Monstropolis. When a little girl named Boo wanders into their world, it's the monsters who are scared silly, and it's up to Sully and Mike to keep her out of sight and get her back home. Yay, Monsters, Inc.
Yay, Monsters, Inc.
Yay.
I love that movie.
Me too. It was so great to watch it again. I haven't rewatched that in years and years and years. It was great.
All right. I had Cars, so I'm going to take you through some background information for Cars. So it was released on May 26th, 2006 at Lowe's Motor Speedway, and then it was released widely in the United States on June 9th, 2006. So my birthday 20 years ago.
Oh my
Crazy,
gosh.
right? I know.
Wow.
Insane.
Sometimes I feel like the universe is at work with us, you know?
Sometimes things happen. And maybe for a reason. It was produced by Darla K. Anderson. Yes, that Darla that inspired the name for the character in Finding Nemo. Basically, Andrew Stanton named the character after her to get back at her for all the practical jokes that she would play on him. So, I love the Pixar dynamic.
Yes.
It was directed by John Lasseter. The screenplay is by Dan Fogelman, John Lasseter, Joe Ranft, Keel Murray, Phil Lauren, and Jorgen Klubian. The story is by John Lasseter, Joe Ranft, and Jorgen Klubian, and the music is by Randy Newman. And then the production designers for this, it was William Cohn and Bob Pauley, and then the concept artist was Jay Schuster with Jay Ward as the creative director. It stars, among others, Owen Wilson as Lightning McQueen, Paul Newman as Doc Hudson, Bonnie Hunt as Sally Carrera, Larry the Cable Guy as Toe Mater, Tony Shalhoub as Luigi, and Jennifer Lewis as Flo, among others.
Oh my God, great cast.
Fantastic cast. The budget for this was $120 million, and the box office was $462 million.
Mm-hmm.
The film is certified fresh on Rotten Tomatoes with a 74% tomato meter score and an 80% popcorn meter score, opening to an A cinema score grade. It was nominated for 2 Oscars for Best Animated Feature and Best Original Song for the song Our Town. It won the first Golden Globe Award for Best Animated Feature Film ever, and then it also won the 2006 Annie Award for Best Animated Feature, which is the highest award in animation. The success of Cars launched a franchise that includes the sequels Cars 2 and Cars 3, a variety of Pixar shorts, 2 spin-off films, Planes and Planes Fire and Rescue, and the addition of Cars Land in Disney's California Adventure, which takes inspiration from Radiator Springs, and then the new land in Walt Disney World's Magic Kingdom that is coming that's called Piston Peak, which is inspired by national parks of the United States. Plot synopsis: aspiring champion race car Lightning McQueen is on the fast track to success, fame, and everything he's ever hoped for, until he takes an unexpected detour on dusty Route 66. On the way to the most important race of his life, a tiebreaker after a near-disastrous final lap in the Piston Cup, McQueen falls off the back of his transport truck Mack and finds himself in the town of Radiator Springs. After damaging the road in town, he is sentenced to repave the road as community service, befriending the town's unique characters in the process. His have-it-all-now attitude is thrown into a tailspin as the small-town community that time forgot forces McQueen to slow down and shows him what he's been missing in his high-octane life. Also known as Doc Hollywood, starring Michael J. Fox.
Yeah.
So we are going to do this showdown really from 2 different perspectives here. So we've got, in looking at these locations, the aesthetic of it. So this is the design and the function of that design. And then the other is sort of the atmosphere and the culture. So more of the sort of like the vibes, I guess you would say, as Caroline would say. The vibes.
Or to speak more like you, the cultural norms and societal expectations.
And the norms, mores, and expectations, you know.
I have to say really quickly, my father was asking me what we were talking about tonight, and I told him, and he goes, clearly he doesn't listen or watch, because he was like, how can you guys talk about that for an hour? And I'm like, babe.
How?
Here we go.
Easily. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
So do we want to start with Monsters, Inc.?
Yeah. Let's do that.
All right. Let's do aesthetic, design, and function for Monsters, Inc.
Perfect.
What's working?
Yes. So the big thing for me is that with Monstropolis, the Monsters, Inc. production team aimed to create a world that is a parallel or alternate universe to the human world. Not scary or too unusual, just a recognizable city with some delightful monstery details. And I think that's exactly the vibe that I get from Monstropolis.
Mm-hmm.
You can feel that long history that the creatives were going for. Interestingly, according to the Disney Wiki, quote, originally, Monstropolis was going to look more like a spooky Tim Burton-like world, much akin to Halloween Town from The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah.
Yes. After the realization that the monsters in this film scare because it's their main source of energy in their world rather than as natural behavior, the entire city was instead designed to resemble architecture of buildings in the early 1960s, representing the energy boom in the United States during that decade, end quote. I think this was such an excellent choice that honestly changed and dictated the vibe of the entire film. Think about that absolutely fantastic opening credits sequence. That 60s vibe is all thanks to this decision. It's not the only Pixar film that leans into this mid-century modern aesthetic.
A lot of them do.
I was starting to think about it, and a lot of them do. Like The Incredibles came to mind first.
Cars has a lot of modern and
Yes.
mid-century modern in it as well.
Yes, and I think that's a large reason why these films feel so cozy and nostalgic to us, and that's so a part of the Pixar thing.
I kind of talk about this later, and I think it's because the mid-century modern aesthetic is about sort of like a unification. A lot of it had to do with like bringing things together in nature of like a wholeness of open floor plans, things like that. And so I think that's what creates the sort of like coziness, is the sort of like we're open to everything. We can see everything. It's all together.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. I think it's especially important that this film feels that way, because otherwise it could really tip into being scary for kids.
Yeah.
Like even the first couple of seconds of the film when we find out they're just doing the simulation, when you don't know, for a kid, that could be scary.
Yeah.
But we stop going that direction immediately, and I think that's great. And I think like the way that Sully ultimately feels warm and soft, the rest of the things we love about this movie, like the incredible score, all of that flow from this decision about the setting. So like that's the main thing, because they could have gone any way with it. They could have gone that Tim Burton way. It's monsters, right? So you can do anything. And I think the familiar aesthetic that they chose changed everything. Like I don't see something like Monsters University coming out of the Tim Burton world of this, because we kind of like have that out in the world already. You know, we've got like Wednesday and shows like that. And this was like, it was such a specific decision, and it changed everything else about the movie. So I think the aesthetic is honestly like, is kind of everything here. I also think if we're going to see a specific place in a city, I'm always going to be a big fan of it being the restaurant. And so I really had to call out Harryhausen's. It's just one of those places. I had to. It's one of those places that we all instantly wanted to visit and became iconic right away. And it's fun to me that the three places we see in most detail in Monstropolis are a workplace, a home, and then somewhere more like bougie and exclusive, because it gives a nice range of vibes and locations, and it hints at how much is going on in this city that we obviously don't have time to see all of. And I also it goes without saying, we're all familiar with it at this point, but there's such fantastic humor in the details of this design, from the stock, don't stock crossing signs to storefronts like Tony's Grocery, GROSS, just like fun little Easter eggs, again, that contribute to this really like cozy, safe feeling.
And established as well. Like it feels like it's been here for a while.
Yep, absolutely.
It's very settled.
Yes. So speaking of that, Monstropolis accounts for the fact that monsters also come in all shapes and sizes. So going a little bit more into the function of the design now. So there are different sized apartments and front doors and stoops of brownstones. There are different sizes and heights of lockers in the locker rooms at Monsters Incorporated. There's like a hole in the back of Sully's chair for his tail. Like there's accommodations for all different types of monsters. And that takes so much extra work and specificity to animate and decide on, and I really applaud that.
I think it's kind of like a thing that nowadays we think of Zootopia as like the standard, and I think Monsters Inc. kind of paved a way and started doing some of these things so that Zootopia could really kind of run with it as far as they did.
Absolutely agree. And you would kind of think like the natural inclination for like, oh, a city of monsters that accommodates for all different kinds of monsters would, I think the easy choice would be to go more whimsical and out of the box with it. But I find it so interesting that all of it is still very relatable and understandable to us and things that we see in our world too. It's very interesting. And I watched a little featurette about Monstropolis, and you can kind of, my brain hadn't quite been tuned into this when I was watching, but if you look for this, you'll see that the city is built with durable materials like brick, stone, steel in order to support the potentially extremely heavy weight of some of these monsters. So the function is real. Like it's again, we're supporting all shapes and sizes of monsters. Very inclusive. And the function of the elements of the factory specifically is genius.
Yeah.
Like the doors, we take it for granted now, right? Because it's so iconic now. But
Genius.
the fact that this creative team, thought about how monsters get into all of these different closets, then turn that into something that feels like a factory and has that function to it, it's actually perfect.
Yeah.
I think the factory is kind of the biggest win of this movie alongside the characters, because it's truly one of a kind while still being a functioning workplace. And again, it's just something that we take for granted because it has become so iconic. But it's when you really take a second to think about coming up with that, it's kind of perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you with so many of these things. First, like off the bat, I'm a sucker for New York City, and there's so much about Monstropolis that feels like it is taking it right out of New York. Like in that walk to work sequence, we get to see the brownstones in the fall, the grocery with the pretty awnings. It's very much giving Greenwich Village, NYC vibes. Like category is When Harry Met Sally, Washington Square.
So true.
Which
Billy
like
Crystal.
Billy Crystal. And that personally for me is very nostalgic because that's where Caroline and I went to school and is without a doubt like one of the very best places in New York. So it's like a spot in the city that feels a bit slower and laid back without losing the hustle and bustle and the access to city life that you're looking for. So I have a very, very strong pull to that location.
Yeah.
So that's a major win for me. Also, I'm just going to say a lot of my strengths are very personal, so whatever. We're doing
it's our
what we're doing.
podcast, right?
Speaking of the New York parallels, the Monsters Inc. power plant, it feels very much like all the energy plants that are across the river in Jersey. Fantastic.
We're working in Jersey.
Harryhausen's is that like fancy downtown sushi place that is impossible to get into with that like very sleek exterior.
It's like what Budokan was back in the day.
Yeah.
Budokan's not that anymore, but back when we were in college, like Budokan was the ultimate cool thing, and this is like that.
Yeah. And then the lobby of Monsters Inc. also fully looks like the Fulton Street subway stop in New York City with the skylights.
Oh my God.
And then the hallways branching off to the scare floors with the color-coded circle logos like the subways.
My eye was caught by the circle signs as well.
This was the first time I've watched this in a while, and I felt like I was about to take one of the hallways to catch the red line back uptown. Like I was like, I know this place. I know this place.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
The mid-century modern aesthetic, it's classy AF. And then just the layout of the factory, the way in which Scream is captured, processed, etc. It all feels so well thought out. It's really functional. Like it feels tangible about the way that all this energy is created, moved, used. And I really, really like that. Like it should feel real to us. When you have such a grounded aesthetic, then the challenge is how do you take this fantastical idea and make that feel grounded as well? And so much of that I think is in the design of the factory, like you were saying. And I think they just like killed it. It
was almost hard for me to talk about and describe because it feels so real that it's almost hard to take apart.
Because I'm like, it's a factory.
Yeah.
It's a factory. The industrial nature of it all, I'm like, it's a factory. We see this. Everything, it feels so familiar to us.
Yes, it does.
It's like, what might not have been working so much for you?
Yeah, okay. So if we're comparing this to Radiator Springs, I know we haven't started talking about that yet, but the creators had a little bit more of a difficult job here. First, they needed to represent an entire New York City-esque sized city, while the whole point of Radiator Springs is that it's a small strip of road in the desert. So, the majority of this film also takes place inside the Monsters, Inc. factory. So we're not exactly getting a grand tour of Monstropolis, and there was more to do there. There's more to fill in. So because of this, because most of the film takes place in the factory, I don't have quite the full scope of what Monstropolis is like. Does it get more urban than Sully's tree-lined block with these brownstones? Or is the rest of the city, save for maybe the industrial Monsters, Inc. area, more like that? Very tree-filled. I'm not sure. I don't really have a sense of that. There is also, I feel like you're going to tell me I'm wrong about this, but I just have to speak my truth. There was one specific shot that caught my eye. It's as we see Mike and Sully leaving the apartment, and we look down the block to see some faraway, towering, like whitewashed buildings that almost remind me of St. Paul's Cathedral in London. Now, it's very possible that, like London, Monstropolis is a mix of the old and the new. I mean, the creators said there's a lot of history there. But this was the only time I saw something like that looked like that had that aesthetic. And so it seemed a little bit out of place to me, even in the way that it was animated. And yes, I'm definitely thinking about this way too hard, but it really did catch my eye because it was like I know it was in the distance, but it was at the end of this like brownstony type block, and it just felt so different.
I don't have any recollection of this. I'm
It
gonna
was
have to
like
watch it again.
it looked like if you think about St. Paul's Cathedral and then you put spikes on it, that's what it looked like. I don't know why it caught my eye, but again, it probably
maybe
feels,
like a city hall kind of
yes,
thing?
it could be. And again, I think part of the
Okay.
reason why it feels out of place to me is it probably isn't, but like I said earlier, I don't have a bigger sense of the scope of the rest of the city. So I don't know, like, where is the old and the new? What are these things? So maybe it's for that reason.
Yeah, I think I'm going to forgive that a little bit because if I am pulling so much of the New York parallel, the City Hall of New York is kind of like that, like
True.
one of those like white sort of like
Yeah.
Georgian kind of
Right.
structures that I'm like, all right.
Right. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. Yeah, I really think some of this is because I don't know how big is Monstropolis? I don't really know. So I
It's New York.
Is it? Yeah, you know what? Maybe I just
It's
need to be like,
New
it's New York.
It's New York without the rivers.
And honestly, actually, on that note, I think once the creatives settled on this being a parallel world to the human one, and like this is New York City, after that, aside from the really wonderful details that I talked about, there's not too much creative stretching that you have to do as it comes to the cityscape. You just kind of copy and paste a little bit. And so they
Yeah.
had to come up with a little bit less from scratch for that reason.
That's fair.
So there's that. And for the function of the city, I was kind of like, maybe they should diversify their power source portfolio. I mean, maybe.
I have that in my culture and atmosphere, so I
Okay.
agree with you.
Okay. And the city does seem largely based around Monsters, Inc. and the area
Yes.
around it. And we're going to talk about this in the culture and societal norms a bit as well. And the area around, like you said, it looks like Jersey. The area around the factory is like a little depressing looking. And damn, like Monstropolis really has its inhabitants living in pretty small quarters.
I know. I was like, wow, Sully is
He's the
low-key
top
a
scare.
celebrity.
I'm gonna talk about this in the culture. It's like he's the
he
top
has a
scare,
roommate?
and that's what his house looks like. No. I also, again, if this is New York City, these are all my qualms. The New York City too. I wish there were more parks and like open, non-industrial spaces, and who knows, maybe there are. But the power plant being what seems like the largest part of the city doesn't really make me want to go there. I was kind of like, I don't want to be there was like smoke coming out of the smokestacks. I don't even want to know what that is. It just seems like that's a big part of the city. And I'm not feeling that part of it.
It's all of Ted's waste being burned off.
Like, what is it?
Good morning.
That's what I've got.
Yeah, my weakness, those things are fantastic. But I really was just like, so much of the movie takes place in the Monsters, Inc. plant, which
Mhm.
for obvious reasons is very industrial. But it's just not as pretty,
It's
or
not.
it doesn't have a whole lot of character because it's not
Yeah.
really meant to.
Yeah.
So it's almost like it's at a point where it is trying to maximize efficiency and functionality that it's doing that so much that it forgets that, we can be a little purdy too. But this is a complaint that I have with most industrial spaces. So, Monsters Inc.
Coming
isn't
from
alone in that.
some longtime New York City inhabitants, we can't help it. Yeah.
I mean, our acting school was in the old Port Authority building, and there wasn't a single ceiling that was complete. Like we were just staring at ductwork all the time, and I was just
Yeah.
like, damn.
Yeah, all of this ties into something I want to talk to you about when we talk about the culture in a little while.
Okay. Let's hop over to cars. Let's talk about the design and function, what's working here. So one thing that's working is we get to see so much more of Radiator Springs than we do of Monstropolis and the surrounding areas.
Yeah.
There's a really cool blend of architectural styles to the design of the town of Radiator Springs that call to mind specific time periods and landmarks to create what I think is a really timeless look. Much of the inspiration comes directly from stops along Route 66, and the look of Radiator Springs pulls from Route 66's original origins in the 20s, its heyday in the 50s and 60s, its removal in the 80s, and then its preservation today as a historic scenic byway. In doing so, it really achieves a level of timelessness that makes it so appealing. It is both nostalgic and retro while feeling tangible in the present day. So I'm going to go through a couple of the locations that we see in the film, how they function, and then what sort of architectural style they're pulling from. So
cool.
the Cozy Cone Motel is a direct nod to the Wigwam motels along Route 66 in California and Arizona. So those are like they're like teepees basically, and they were motel rooms that like you'd sleep in a teepee, and so it's literally that. And the signage pulls in the mid-century modern aesthetic of the Blue Swallow Motel in New Mexico. So mid-century modern, as I was talking earlier, it is an aesthetic that is clean and simple, often integrating with nature to evoke a feeling of oneness or togetherness. And when you consider the purpose of a motel, you want it to feel simple, you want it to feel clean. And who is running it? Sally, who's all about integrating with nature, being one with the land. It's the perfect aesthetic to attach to her and her motel. Ramon's Body Shop is distinctly Art Deco in design, harkening back to the 20s and 30s when this style was at its height and pumped into some of the most iconic architectural landmarks in America, but especially places like Chicago, which is at the start of Route 66 on the eastern side. Art Deco was heavily stylized and geometric, often relying on manufactured materials like steel and chrome. Makes sense, then, that the Body Shop of Radiator Springs would be pulling from an aesthetic that puts style and design top of mind. Flo's V8 Cafe is of the Googie style, which is a futurist style that, you know, we all would most closely identify as that retro 50s, 60s Jetsons vibe.
Tomorrowland, sort of, yeah.
It was very much inspired by car culture, jets, and the space age, and it derived from Southern California, which is at the other end of Route 66. So we've got the beginning and the end here represented. Ironic also, or not so much ironic, that Flo and Ramon are kind of like, they got a thing going, and they are the beginning. They represent. They have styles attached to them that are representative of the beginning and the end of Route 66.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah. So the Googie style, this has now become a part of the larger mid-century modern umbrella, and we see this design today in a lot of diners, coffee houses, and drive-ins. Functionally for Flo, it's super creative that a gas station, which is essentially food for these anthropomorphic cars, closely resembles a design that we associate with food. Her V8 Cafe really calls to mind the aesthetic of the original McDonald's restaurant, which is located in Downey, California.
Come on.
And then last one I'm going to call out is Luigi's Casa de la Tires, which brings in the Spanish Revival style that was used heavily in the Southwest. It features the use of stucco, arches, clay tile roofing, and ironwork. This aesthetic was used to celebrate regional heritage when it was being used in the United States, often evoking the romance of its Mediterranean origins. It's that like romantic Hollywood sort of thing.
I actually didn't know that's what that was called, and I love that aesthetic.
So then it's fitting that we have this romantic Italian Mediterranean character in Luigi as the one to bring this particular aesthetic to Radiator Springs. So all of these design and architectural movements, they carry a lot of weight with them, and their use has spanned decades, often overlapping and informing the next wave of innovation and design. So seeing them all blended together in this way gives the small town of Radiator Springs a sense of familiarity and eclecticism that makes it feel real and timeless. And kind of going off of that, for me, the sodium lights, that like orange glowy light. It's so pretty.
We love this shit.
And the neon. The neon. This gives Radiator Springs an appeal that lasts after the sun goes down. So this is a place that you want to experience both in the day to see the wonder of nature that surrounds it, but then also at night when it just fully comes alive in color. So a lot of my strengths I'm doing of like why you would want to visit this place.
I love that.
Radiator Springs pulls on the parts of modernism that embraces nature. Sally talks about how the road moves with the land, enhancing the elements that are already there. Radiator Springs doesn't feel like a blemish on the land, but a town that is as much a part of the natural world around it as the rocks and vegetation. I believe that Radiator Springs could have just like bubbled up from the earth like a spring. And I am a sucker for a water feature. So you know
I talk about
that
this
when
too, of
Sally
course.
and Lightning McQueen round that corner and see the waterfall on the bridge, that is my everything.
Connor.
It's just like, it's one of those places that you want to be. You want to reach out and feel the mist in the wind as you drive over the bridge. And when I watch the ride through of Radiator Springs Racers.
You need to get on. You need to get on it. I'm done talking about this. We have to get you to Disneyland because you are going to freak.
I know. And then zooming out even more from Radiator Springs, talking about Carburetor County and Ornament Valley. This is that greater area of Radiator Springs that takes heavy inspiration from Monument Valley, one of our national parks here in the United States, and it's gorgeous. Deserts and mesas feel so foreign to most people and like an ecosystem that is wholly unfamiliar to a lot of us. So there's naturally this feeling of like awe and exploration into the unknown when we see them. And Ornament Valley does a beautiful job capturing that sensation that we have to a national park like Monument Valley for the world of cars. Like it feels limitless. We can't see an end to anything. And so it's just a ton of possibility right here. So all of that's really working. Like the design is super good.
It's so good. I mean,
super good.
Yeah, I love that you took the scholarly approach to this because as per usual, I will take the vibes approach to this. You kind of said everything that I had to say about the natural landscape and like exactly what you said. It really feels like it just arises from the land.
For my birthday, when we went to Berkeley Springs and we drove through that little town, it felt so Radiator Springs to me.
Springs! We're going to call it that from now on.
Yeah.
Yeah. The waterfall, the winding roads, I mean, don't even get me started. And like you said, each storefront having its own aesthetic is everything to me. And I don't know if it taps into some sort of childhood thing, but they just make me want to play and explore and like see every nook and cranny. Like I need to see all of it. I want to go into every single storefront. For me, honestly, okay, less so after this rewatch. I used to be like, I'm not a Cars girl, right? Because back in the day when Cars came out, when I went to the movie theaters, I brought a child. I was babysitting at the time. So it was a very unenjoyable experience for me because it was his first movie. He couldn't sit still. This is the theme. Once again, I did not see the end of the movie because he didn't make it all the way through. Wild. So I was just like, oh, it's not for me. I thoroughly enjoyed watching Cars.
Good movie.
Almost too much. It's good.
It's a really good movie.
Yes. And so I used to think that I'm like, Cars is just a vibes movie. And to some extent it is. Because like you said, it's kind of a copy and paste plot. But I love the humor and the aesthetic and the heart. And something about it feels like summer. It's just so evocative. In the daytime, you can feel the dry desert heat. And when the lights come on at night, you just want to stroll the street with like a little breeze blowing. There's something even though it's based on so many like actual types of design, there's also something that feels very specifically Disney about its aesthetic. I don't think this kind of locale could come from any other animation company. The detail work here is absolutely insane. There are like the little fountains everywhere. I'm obsessed. The cozy cone having the tiny little cone lights that glow perfectly at night and that everything in the room is little cones. It's just so vibey. And the fact that it can then transition in this magical way at night, like you said, it's amazing. Big Main Street USA vibes.
Yeah.
Again, it's personal, but it just feels like I want to go on vacation here. It just makes me want to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to experience it.
Yeah.
Like,
yes. I
Yeah.
do. And you kind of said this already, but the transition into nighttime, aside from being absolutely stunning, it almost gives the town a second personality.
Yes, very much so.
It's a different thing. And also, if we're talking about function, allows it to continue business at any time of the day and attract potential patrons from the road.
Mhm.
And in a meta way, there's also a function for it within the film. The town is truly a character in the story. It has an arc, it has specificity, and it is inseparable from the character arc of our hero, Lightning McQueen. His arc has everything to do with rehabilitating the town. So like it's not even just like the function moves away from like the design and into like actual storytelling function as well. And I think that's a huge thing that's kind of hard to beat.
Yeah.
For me right now.
Yeah. In terms of weaknesses, listen, the aesthetic here is honestly so damn strong, and everything serves a very functional purpose. It kind of like has to in a town like this. There can't really be anything superfluous. There's no room for it. So there isn't really much that I can fault with this in the design category. That being said, the one thing that concerns me personally, Connor, is the heat. And there really isn't anything set aside or specializing in managing heat or cooling.
But there's
and
those little fountains.
That's going to be a problem for me, ma'am.
You can have the fire truck spray you. It'll
Listen,
be fine.
I am a furnace. I develop so much heat.
You would be so hot there.
I'm like, where's the cooling station? They need to build that. Maybe that's my contribution. Maybe me as a car, I bring the cool.
I love it. I love it.
I don't know. But I'm just like, that would deter me from going there. I'm like, where's the air conditioning?
You can feel that dry heat. When you watch this movie, you can feel it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I don't want a part of that.
Like, can you imagine how hot the seats inside of these cars are? I mean, burn your ass right off.
Doc Hudson is Navy. No, thank you.
Can't touch him.
No.
Is that all you got?
Do you have? Yeah, that's all I've got. You got any weaknesses?
I kind of said this earlier. The creators did have to make a little bit less for this. It's a purposefully small strip in the desert versus an entire gigantic city. So this is how they were able to work in such a detailed way. We don't have an entire metropolis to design for. And although we have the fantastical element of anthropomorphic vehicles, the animators could basically work off of real world inspiration for the town, as you said. I mean, to absolutely incredible effect, like you talked about, tying the personalities and functions of the cars to the design aesthetic. Amazing. But just, figured it was worth mentioning.
Yeah.
Also, tied to your heat thing, Radiator Springs does have basically everything you could need besides, we found out, a cooling station. But and it's not for a long time. It's for a good time, not a long time. But I'm sure after 2 days max, anyone would be ready to get out of there. Like,
I have that.
I would lose
my mind. That's in
mind.
my culture and atmosphere.
Yeah, after a day, I'd be like, I have to leave. Now, like I said, it's not supposed to be a place you stay. It's supposed to be a cozy respite as you travel the highway. But I do want to give credit to Monstropolis in that we're working with way less here. There's probably a lot more to do at Monstropolis. But again, we wouldn't really know. And I feel as though I'm actually insane talking about this so seriously, but I guess like points off. When I was typing this, I was like, what am I talking about right now? I guess points off for it being a little bit dilapidated at the beginning of the film, like the fact that it was allowed to fall into disrepair. I suppose points off, but it wasn't their fault. They had no money coming in, and the highway
had no money
changed.
coming in, but also. But hold on, Bessie was sitting there. Did they not have anybody? Like, you mean to tell me the fire truck couldn't? You can hitch that up to the fire truck and have it repave the road? I guess it's like, who are they repaving it for?
I guess this is also a culture issue, so we'll have to talk about that in a little while.
Yeah, sure. All right, let's hop over to culture and atmosphere of Monsters Inc. I know, what is our job?
I know last episode we talked about like critically overthinking Disney is what we do, and it really is, but sometimes it gets me. And this time it got me good. Got me good. Yeah. All right.
Let's do culture and atmosphere of Monstropolis. What's working here?
Yes. I think I have got one big point here is that I think we can take for granted, again, because this film and the idea of Monstropolis has become so iconic, we can take it for granted a little bit. the genius of the overall thrust of how Monstropolis is powered. It's amazing via the screams, and we find out later emotions overall of children. I think turning something that could be scary and making it just business for the monsters is so smart, and it's such a Disney thing to do, and is also perfectly in line with their goal of creating basically an alternate human universe. There's nothing deeply sinister about it, much like our world. Like, obviously, there are bad things, just like in our world, too. So the aesthetics and the culture are telling one very cohesive story. So I think for me, a lot of points that the culture and the design are married together in that way. Also, yay for there being daycare at work so that parents don't have to decide between their children and their career.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know if it was free. I don't know if you have to pay for it. We didn't get that much detail on it.
Well, they've got free coffee.
That looked absolutely disgusting. It does, however, say a bit to me about the importance of work and this capitalism vibe that I don't really love.
Yes.
And we're going to talk about that in a
Yes.
little while when we talk about the cons. But like, again, I don't want to detract from the way all of this is powered and like the fact that monsters, like everything about how they're powered is via children. It's very, very, very brilliant stuff.
Yeah, I was just like, in terms of visiting here, Monstropolis, it very much mirrors our world, restaurants, jobs, traffic, bustling economy. So it would be very easy, I feel like, to visit here because there's that sort of one-to-one parallel to the human world. The only difference really is that they're monsters. That's pretty much it. Everything else is the same. Strength here seems like everything runs off of Scream for power, and that is sustainable. It is renewable. It is a green resource. So fuck yeah for that.
Yeah, baby.
And then this is kind of cool for me. Scarers being like celebrities. I kind of love that kind of acclaim gets applied to people who are actually contributing quite a lot to their society as a whole.
True.
So
not just entertaining, but other
it's
things.
It's not just for entertainment. I'm like, these people are powering the city. They're contributing in that kind of way. And so we are putting, I feel like, an appropriate amount of loud, like we're lauding them in an appropriate way.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Where I'm
that's a
like,
good point.
yeah, they're doing something. They are making the place, they're making it better for everyone. So they should be celebrated. And I feel like that's probably, I don't think celebrity as a concept is particularly healthy to any society, but I do think that if there was to be a healthy version of it, this is probably closer to a healthy version of it.
I like that. That's good.
Yeah. What's not working for you about the culture and atmosphere?
Okay,
here?
before we
You've
talk
got
about the work,
thoughts.
yes, I do. But
Yeah.
there was also a moment where I could have sworn from my memories of this film that there was more of a reveal of the fact that children aren't actually deadly to monsters. That maybe Waternoose and co. were spreading this propaganda in order to keep monsters working and not feeling any warm feelings towards children. Now, I know it goes without saying that they did figure this out, that it was propaganda basically in some way. But I would have liked to see a moment when the monsters of the city learn that children are safe, and we really see a big culture shift to having more of that love for children and wanting to make children laugh and like it becoming a bit of a different place. Like we see it inside the factory, but I feel like that needed to be a big like watershed moment for the city. Waternoose, watershed, and it wasn't really.
Yeah, we could have done like a news broadcast because we have that convention storytelling wise.
Yeah,
like the
that's
news
a
broadcast
huge deal.
appearing.
People were getting like decontaminated, and now suddenly they don't have to do that anymore, and like nobody said anything about it.
Or maybe only the people who are in the factory know that kids like actually are okay.
That's
And
dark.
what if everyone else outside has no fucking idea?
Oh,
That could be a
I
thing
love a little
too.
conspiracy theory. I could see that being true.
What if Sully is just like, we've got to keep this under wraps? Like we are powering by laughter, but like the rest of the world can't
So
really
then
know.
how are they going to explain that in the theme park? That's a whole other can of worms. But that's the thing. Fine, then that's something we should take into account. If we were going to go there, we wouldn't be treated well. Okay? So there's that.
Fair.
So you touched on this a bit too. Overall, the culture here feels very akin to the human world, with high performers at work being valued, like you said, though, a little bit differently in a good way. Large corporations controlling the literal power, which we don't love. Fancy restaurants being hard to get a reservation for, etc. Now, this largely feels like the point in some ways, that maybe monsters and people aren't all that different, but I would have been interested to find out if certain types of monsters, one-eyed versus many versus two, claws versus tentacles versus no appendages, are treated differently or seen as more attractive or valued in some way. I know I'm
Are
asking
you looking
a
for
lot.
racism?
I guess cue Zootopia, I suppose, but
I think
it's
so.
a thing. Zootopia acknowledged that it's a thing.
That
I'm asking a lot.
there's prejudice.
Yes,
I mean,
there's
not
prejudice.
necessarily racism, but there's
There's
prejudice.
prejudice, yes.
Yeah. It seems like they've kind of figured it out in Monstropolis.
Yeah, it actually does. So maybe it's a utopia and I'm just, jaded.
They don't
sorry.
they don't see tentacles.
They don't see tentacles.
They don't see claws.
I can't. Well, everything you're saying is tying into the next thing I say. Okay, so at the same time, let's just go with, yes, it's this utopia where, we don't see tentacles, claws, eyeballs. But I'm also not quite getting the sense that there is a unified Monstropolis culture. While this could be a good thing because it allows for variety, I can't quite nail down what it is. So points off for that, maybe. Monstropolis, what are the words for it? I'm not quite sure. And the culture that feels way more clear is that of Monsters, Inc. as a company, not Monstropolis as a city.
Because we also have our hierarchy there, too. We
Yeah.
don't know who's in charge of the city.
Right, we don't.
Do they have a president? Do they have a governor?
Right, they seem to have
Is
a
it
city
king?
hall, but what's happening?
Is it a parliament?
Yeah.
What's going on?
Yes. And then something I touched on earlier. So Sully is the top scarer at work, which, like you mentioned, is basically akin to celebrity status. But that doesn't seem to give him a lot of money at all.
No.
His apartment is very threadbare, even verging on a little rundown. But Waternoose, as CEO, is well-dressed and appears to be wealthy. So it does seem like status at work could give you money. And it also seems like work and sometimes overwork are put on a really high pedestal. The fact that Mike's has got to pull himself away to go to dinner with Celia. I'm not feeling that.
It's giving Google doing everything you can to keep your employees at work by give them this, give them the daycare, give them the games, give them the beds for them to sleep in.
They only get a
Don't
half-hour
go
lunch
home.
break.
I know that's
They
ridiculous.
didn't even get a full hour. And the coffee looks like sludge. They seem to enjoy it.
I think they
all
like
right.
it.
But I'm just
I think they like
saying
the sludge.
there's a little bit of toxic work culture vibes that I'm getting. Again, maybe Sully has corrected this by the end of the film. But as it stands at the beginning, I don't know. There's a lot of like I said, between how much of the city the factory takes up and the attitude towards work, it feels like it's at the center of everything in a way that I'm not about personally.
Yeah, capitalism will do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I also have, listen, consolidating all of your power under one type of power is so high risk. So, maybe look into getting some solar, Scream plus solar. I don't know.
S&S.
And also, rolling blackouts isn't super fun. And it seems like they're extremely regular in Monstropolis, considering they're on the news and the newspaper, nearly every day. So
It's true. They also didn't really indicate how long this has been an issue, but it seems like a solid enough amount of time.
Yeah. And,
yeah.
I suppose a laugh-powered Monstropolis might be a little bit more interesting to visit in terms of being a little bit more steady in terms of the power grid. But I'm not super interested in going to a place that has a failing power grid or, one that isn't stable. And it doesn't seem like this one is very stable.
And the CDA is just a kind of around as this looming presence at all times that I'm not feeling
Oh, yeah.
I don't like.
All right, let's talk. Let's talk about the culture and atmosphere
So stupid.
of Radiator Springs.
Okay. Oh my
All right, so
God.
what's working here? Radiator Springs really relies on the vibe of a small town. And there's that small town pride where everyone knows everyone and hospitality is central to everything that they do. Seeing the cars all lined up with the sign welcoming the interstate travelers, like
Oh, it's so sweet.
that's a place you want to be in. They're not standoffish. They're not trying to shut down tourists. They're reaching out the hand. And I don't know. I like
Mhm.
places like that. They're
Sweet.
very fun to visit. You tend to meet some really interesting people and you come away with some really awesome stories.
Mhm.
In a similar vein, it's a very eclectic community. There's a little bit of everything. You get the sense that everything that you see there has very intentionally been brought there by someone and
Mm.
curated. Luigi is bringing his knowledge and stock of tires. Flo is bringing her fuel recipes. Ramon is bringing his artistry. There's nothing here that can really be taken for granted, so it makes the town feel very precious in that way. And then this in turn gives everything a slower tempo. The people here are appreciating the work of one another and they're more able to be present in the here and now. It's very different from a city which has a pulse of its own and will move on whether you're with it or not. So I get that it's a little bit like apples and oranges here when we're talking about culture and atmosphere with Monstropolis, but we need slower places. We need periods of rest and contraction in order to see how much
Mm.
we've grown and expanded. And a place like Radiator Springs, I think, is really important to have. So, yeah, we may be comparing apples and oranges, but maybe sometimes we have to. I don't know.
Oh.
And all of this, I think, really stems from the central philosophy of Radiator Springs, which I think is this: cars didn't drive on the road to make good time. They drove to have a good time. This is what
Mhm.
Sally says. Enjoyment, pleasure, fun. These are all at the heart of what Radiator Springs is about. The town exists as a place to facilitate and support your next adventure or the next little bit of fun you can find. It knows its role and it's damn good at it. It's not trying to be anything other than what it is.
Oh my gosh.
Any strengths for you?
Yes,
Anything to add?
absolutely. Like Monsters Inc., the culture here is based on humans. And I think applying this to monsters and vehicles is clever and actually like not simple because it's ripe for humor. And I think Cars actually capitalizes on this humor even more than Monsters Inc. Here we do have hierarchy. Like rusted older car and truck models are looked down upon.
Mhm.
Tractors are even lowered to the level of cattle. And, being in the town, maybe that could be detrimental, but I'm kind of zooming out a little bit from more of like looking at the film's perspective. And I think that's important to helping us understand the culture overall. A little bit like when I said there wasn't a unified Monstropolis culture, like this starts to give you a little bit more of an idea of what's actually happening in Radiator Springs as it comes to culture. And it upholds individual culture as well, with each car or truck being a function of its business in the town. You talked about this. And in the design, and because of that, the design, again, and the culture can't be separated. And I think that's so smart. It's hard to tell what came first, the car's personality or the aesthetic of their business. And I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
It's so cool. And Radiator Springs represents a bygone era of, like you said, not trying to make great time. And the vibes match this nostalgia, and the aesthetic and the culture continue to be intertwined in that way. And the town pride. Like the town pride kind of drives, LOL, everything they do. While at the same time, I'll talk about why maybe that could be a con if we want to, again, look at it in a little bit of a jaded way. But, for such a small town, we've got a pretty wide range of representation. It's not even a town, okay? It's a strip of road. There's a
road.
lot going on there, and I gotta give them credit. If that got built into a whole town, we'd have representation from every culture, every vehicle type. I'm into that. And there's also a sense of justice and fairness here that I appreciate, and a lack of celebrity worship. I think that's actually the fact that we called that out in two fictional towns from Pixar films. I mean, there's something absolutely wrong with us. but lack of celebrity worship. Like first of all, they don't really have a sense of Lightning McQueen's celebrity status. But even if they did, I don't think they'd give a rat's ass. They're like, you broke the road, man. Like, and we brought you to court, and that's the end of that. Sorry. And I appreciate that. It's straightforward and it's understandable, and you know what to expect, and I like that.
Yeah, there's a very strong moral compass with this crew.
Yes.
Let's talk about things maybe not so great. The thing that probably scares me the most here, a lot of the day in and day out is going to look the same.
Okay,
this is a nice place to visit or even stay for a little while. But for me, I think this life would be a little bit bland. There really isn't all that much to do, and not much is going to be changing. And I'm somebody who craves variation.
That's fair.
Cities are great for me because there's always something new and exciting happening.
We're both city
Monstropolis
people. Yeah,
is like
I know.
there. But I still love my country stuff. Like I still love it, but I need a little bit of both.
Mm-hmm.
I fear that like a year into living in Radiator Springs,
I would be like, unrecognizable. Like my brain would go.
I would
would go.
I would be the old lady running the curios. I would forget who I am, all sense of time. I'm gone.
Gone.
So I'd be like, get me the F out of here, please, God save
Imagine
me.
if we ran a little storefront in Radiator Springs and we had to stay there for a year. We would go bonkers.
I would forget my name.
I would too. I absolutely would too.
It would be so bad. It would be so bad. Because the other thing, it's isolated. And while at the end of the film, there is a bit of an upturn in tourism.
There really is. It feels so open at the end of the film.
It's still going to be on the poorer side and a bit of a struggle economically. And that's not always appealing, especially when you've got Monstropolis, which is like a full-blown bustling economy.
With rolling blackouts.
Yeah. And just from a realistic standpoint, there's going to be a lot of fumes. It's giving Tomorrowland Indie Speedway / Autopia 24/7.
For sure.
But like not in a good way.
For sure.
I mean, I was a weird kid. I like to crack the door at the gas. I was the kid. I cracked the door at the gas station so I could huff that gasoline. I may have been caught once or twice standing at the tailpipe of our minivan, huffing the fumes from the exhaust pipe. So, maybe this would be good for me, but like as a human,
I don't like how Autopia smells, so that's a no for me.
I'm very confident that a vacation in this place would kill me. Like,
but you're in the wide open air.
I still feel like that many cars just. Right. Can you imagine trying to go to sleep at the Cozy Cone? You would die. The CO2 would kill you.
Yeah, it probably would.
The CO2 would kill you.
All right. Well, a con of something that I brought up earlier of like the town pride and everything. Like any insular, low population locale, it's possible that the culture of Radiator Springs could become out of touch, dated, or even prejudiced and then toxic.
I know. I'm like, are these all of a sudden, are they going to be like, oh, really, really nice? And then you're like, oh, and then this is my gay brother, and they're gonna like turn on you.
It made me think of, this is such a me reference, but it made me think of the Daniel Fish revival of Oklahoma, where we have the same dialogue as in the original when they're kind of Curly has just killed Judd, and in the original Oklahoma they have a little like trial, and they're like, well, he was crazy, like it's all good. But the way they interpreted it in this production is it's like they're saying the same dialogue, but you can feel the people of the town are like, yeah, he was bad. And they just want the problem to be over. And they want to bury it and put it away. And I could totally see stuff happening like that in Radiator Springs, especially if it's like one of the established members of the community does something wrong. People don't want that. They want everything to be perfect.
Yeah, you could get away with murder here.
I think you could get away with murder here. And I think their love for the town could turn into obsession and make it difficult for them to see the town's shortcomings clearly. I mean, that is what's happening, kind of. They're not looking at everything through a realistic lens. And that's why, like you said, I think we would lose our minds if we lived there. And maybe I'm jaded, but I do feel like it's so small.
Yeah.
And it's the same people, the same cars.
Did you ever see The Minutes by Tracy Letts?
No, but I know
Broadway?
I know the conceit.
It's giving that too, like small town, and then it's like burying their secrets.
Yeah.
Wait, but now that makes me love it.
I'm kind of into it. Like, what happened?
I want to know the secret.
Me too.
I know that I would probably have to die for it, but like,
Not if we become like fixtures in the
One
community.
of them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we should just call it and become a part of the scenery at Radiator Springs.
All right. So I think that's covered everything that we have. So let's move into sort of our final thoughts and verdict here. So we've looked at the aesthetic, the design, the function of both of these locations, and then we've looked at the culture and the atmosphere as well. Is there a winner that's coming out for you in terms of design and function? I think there is for me.
What's your winner for that?
I think my winner for this is actually Cars. It's Radiator Springs.
And if it is for me too. If you broke it out more specifically, the design would be Radiator Springs, the function would be Monstropolis.
Sure, yeah.
So that makes it more difficult. And then for culture, we've pointed out some really interesting things that have kind of put me in the middle a little bit for this.
Oh yeah, I'm swinging back and forth. This is a hard one because I think both of their designs are really good. Both the function is really, really good.
Yeah.
The culture and
the
atmosphere.
Cultural downsides are like the natural cultural downsides to a big city and a really small rural town. Like,
yeah, they're the same things that we have in our world.
Yeah.
So, like, if we can't fault anything and be like, well, you haven't fixed this because we haven't gotten our shit together.
Right.
So,
and we were trying not to exactly bring in the Disney parks of this into the equation because it's a whole separate thing, right? So I'll say this. Like we mentioned earlier, and I'm sure you all know, both of these locales will soon be represented in the U.S. Disney parks. Now, we're not saying which one would make a better theme park land because that's a whole other set of criteria, like attraction and restaurant potential, character opportunities. We're not talking about all that. But we are talking about it a little bit in the way of like, which one would we want to enter into more?
mm-hmm.
And I'm starting to feel like I want to go to Radiator Springs.
I think I am too. If I strip everything away and I'm able to like capture the vibe and look at a picture.
It's more of a vibe.
And then capture the vibe and look at a picture.
Yeah.
If I have Radiator Springs over here and I have Monstropolis over here with the appropriate vibes, I'm gravitating towards Radiator Springs.
Vibes and aesthetic Radiator Springs for me. It's the one thing that, again, that I did talk about of like we take for granted the genius of the function of the design of Monstropolis. But I think wanting to be in Monstropolis for me would be more about the characters and being in like kind of like the lighthearted feeling of the movie overall. And even just the factory itself rather than the city specifically.
Yeah.
You know? Like when they open it in Hollywood studios, the coolest thing is going to be able to go into the factory and ride the ride.
Yeah.
And go to Harryhausen's.
Let's be real.
That's going to be a big, big day for me. But like, and they're going to make it beautiful, but walking around, it's going to be like tree lined and it's going to be really nice. But it's not as evocative for me.
Yeah. There is stuff to take in Radiator Springs.
Like I said, I want to visit every nook and corner of it.
And it makes me very, very excited for Piston Peak because this is a new space that we haven't seen this location before in the world of Cars. They're imagining it. And I'm like, if they were able to do what they did in Cars with Radiator Springs, I can't wait to see something new, especially one that is like even more influenced by the national parks. The off-road rally ride that we're going to get, it's going to be super duper cool. I'm really, really excited. And I think for all of the people who are having trouble wrapping their mind around losing Rivers of America and everything, please go back and watch Cars.
I would definitely recommend that too.
And look at how faithful this is to Americana and national parks and the land. And I feel like this is a really great property to then use to maximize on that space if we have to. And we have to, let's be real.
When you and I were figuring out the locales for this episode, we were like, we want to do something Pixar, what's comparable? We literally texted like, well, LOL, it's going to be Monstropolis.
It's going to be Monstropolis.
And actually, like, it's kind of very much not. And that's because I really needed to rewatch Cars. It had been way too long. Like I said, not 100% sure I had even seen it through all the way. It's pretty excellent.
And, like, listen, like, I really, really want to see Radiator Springs For real.
I
I want to go there at night. I want to see it all lit up at night.
You're gonna freak.
I know.
This is
I
really
know.
serious. We need to do this. This is like so serious. I want you to go to that before Piston Peak opens. This is
Okay.
Oh my God.
We can do that.
Okay.
We can do that.
Okay.
Okay, so I think we're in agreement. I think we have a verdict
Just
here.
when you think you know how things are gonna go in life.
It was so interesting. We were in agreement on what it was going to be going into this on the opposite, and both of us successfully swung the
Yes,
other
I
way.
actually I can't put my finger on why, but I thought you were gonna fight me on the Radiator Springs, not because like there's faults, but because I think when I rewatched Cars, I was like, am I getting too swept up in this? What's happening to me? I like loved it too much.
It's really beautiful.
It is.
It's beautiful. I can see why they were like, we need to make this.
Yeah.
I'm like, I would want you to make it.
It's great.
I want to go there. Yeah.
All right. Well, we're moving into Radiator Springs and becoming fixtures in the town and forgetting how to say our first names.
Absolutely.
I'm ready.
It'll be a good time.
I'm ready.
It won't be a long time because we'll probably end up.
But Radiator Springs isn't for a long time, just a good time.
Exactly. All right, that's going to do it for us for this episode. Thank you so much for joining us. Please remember to hit follow or subscribe wherever you're getting the podcast. Opt in for notifications if you're on YouTube. And then this is that moment. Hit 5 stars, leave a written review or a comment wherever you're getting the podcast. It's one of the best things you can do to help us get seen in search results and get suggested to other people. So thank you so much for doing that. And it's also my birthday, so it'll be nice
to
do that for me.
Happy birthday, Connor. Please follow us on social media. Also, we are at Poor Unfortunate Podcast everywhere: Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Threads, Blue Sky. It's a great way for us to get some of your thoughts on the episodes. But if you want to really, really talk about it and connect with us and other people who listen to the podcast, you should join the Poor Unfortunate Fam. So that's our private Facebook group and also our Discord server. I'm really, really digging the Discord these days. Like it's good. We've got folks who have been like taking really, really interesting Disney cruise trips, and I've been writing down a lot of tips from that. We've been talking about our upcoming tips and tricks episode. So our next full-length episode is going to be our book club episode talking about Lady Tremaine by Rachel Hockhauser. We've got a thread in there specifically about that. Connor finished it.
I'm have to
literally
read it.
already thinking about being done with this episode and going to rip through that book because, wow, it's amazing.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's just a way to make the podcast even more interactive for you. It's a way for you to talk to us, give us your thoughts. And it's just like such a happy place. And we love putting faces to names. And we kind of said this already, but I do want to plug it one more time. Please, if you have not written us a review, do that wherever you listen to the podcast. It just does so much for us as we continue to grow and like expand into, as we already have done, video, book club episodes. It just does a lot for us. So thank you for that. And happy birthday, Connor. I love you.
Thank you. I love
Club
you.
33. So if anybody wants to get us into Club 33 this year, now is the moment.
Yeah,
while
we're both
33.
We're both 33.
Okay.
This is it. This is it. And if you're looking for merch, the Poor Unfortunate shop is open, poorunfortunatepodcast.com/shop. The merch collab with Most Magical Printing Company is in its very final stages right now. It should be coming very, very soon, so keep your eyes peeled on socials for anything about that. In the meantime, we've got all of our usual stuff, so go ahead, check that out, especially if you're going to the parks this summer. And then, as I mentioned at the beginning of the episode, if you would like to support the podcast and get a little bit more for what you're paying, the Poor Unfortunate Patreon is open and available to you. It's patreon.com/poorunfortunatepodcast. All of our plans are under $10. They give you bonus episodes. They give you exclusive content. And for our Trident tier level, it gives you Caroline What's New, which is our bi-weekly mini episode series where we do all kinds of Disney news, and that makes the podcast a weekly podcast for you. So if you want more, get more.
Yeah, like, the big Carousel of Progress news. If you want to hear our thoughts on it, you gotta get the
we
Caroline
talked about
What's
it.
New. And merch credit is one of the things you get too. So if you're now would be the perfect time, right, as we're about to put our new merch out, because then it kind of like pays for itself for a little while. So you should totally do that.
And when you join the Patreon, you get access to all of the past Caroline What's New episodes too if you join at the Trident level. So you'll be able to go back and listen to all of our comments about the Disney news. So you don't have to worry about missing out on that. All right. Thank you so much for joining us. Our next episode is our tips and tricks episode, where we are covering Lady Tremaine, the new novel by Rachel Hockhauser. So make sure that you read it and come join us in the Discord and then listen to the episode. So until then, Beluga
Beluga
Savruga.
Savruga.